this is our second rodeo. So thanks for those who are hanging out, trying to support me while my sound was off. I was trying to do the streaming live directly to YouTube thing, and it wasn't working. So now I've got my generic version up, and everything's rolling along. So if it drops you in the middle, that's just me getting used to how this is going, whether it's actually working, whether you can actually hear me. I'll be checking in. So if y'all send over some chats, that'll help me know that you hear me, everything's working, everything's a-okay. That would be much appreciated. But we are here to do the Gene Key transit of the new moon in Cancer. Hello. It is my birthday month, so you're welcome. I always say that because our energy, when it's coming through, is the energy that's giving back to the world that is already a part of us on the everyday, but it will be amplified when it moves through our energy during the year. You get to have a little bit of it for yourself and feel what it's like to be me. I think some people don't appreciate that so much. They're always like, I don't want to be this emotional. I'm like, but what if you're just emotional as a matter of course? But if you can feel everything and it just doesn't always feel good. But that's my life. You don't have to live that. But that my birthday's on July 15th. So if you want to know if it's happening to you, that's how you'll know. It's 62. I always wonder if I'm getting that in my dyslexic version of my evolution, because I think evolution is 61. So I'm pretty sure I'm right. So yeah, so when 62 comes through, that is my energy. And you can be like, ooh, Monifa. Or you can be like, oh, I feel you, Monifa. I get why it's going the way it's going. And you go, girl. You will understand my struggle. All right. So this key 39, we're having by the 39. That's this now moment, new moon in Cancer. In the quantum human design, that is provocation. And in Gene Keys, that is the shadow of provocation, gift of dynamism, and the city of liberation. So this is going to be happening in Cancer 1433. That's what I had in my chart for the California West Coast. It may look a little different where you are, but it's this energy that comes from the root to the emotion of our human matrix energy body. It is the channel of romance in Jane Keys. And I'm like, where do they get channel of romance from? But it's like, it goes from, I say, the shadow of provocation to the shadow of victimization. And then the gift is dynamism in this new moon, and the gift in the other, and the what we call the programming partner, or no, the channeling, the channel completion. So I'm sorry, the channel completion is, let me make sure I'm saying this right. Channel completion is the, yeah, romance 55. I am right. Okay. Make sure I'm saying it right. So yeah, that channel completion is giving us that sense of freedom in the gift. It's we're free to be fully ourselves. So it kind of makes sense all of a sudden why it would be called a romance. True romance, true love is really appreciating the unique qualities of that person and giving them exactly what they desire so that you know how much you see them and care about them, right? So that, I mean, starting to make sense. So I like that. And whenever I'm getting like hits from what centers these are coming from, it's about like, how does the energy feel when it's coming in? How do I know, or how can I create more energy there if I don't have it naturally and if I want it, right? And so this energy is from this kind of just root beingness of survival. I'm here to live. And then the actual uh, emotional center that is connected to is going to be activating what it feels like to live, to be an individual on this planet, right? And so it's giving us this sense of how we are acting, how we are being um, something that is, oh, to provide stillness, but in this individual body, it feels a little different. Try not to get too, I get a little I get a little spiritual in my head about these stuff, but I know you're here for the content. So let's get a move on. So yeah, so there is that 39 and that programming partner, which is what I was trying to remember if I was going the right direction. The programming partner is actually what would be considered an opposition in a Western chart. So it's that when people talk about the axis of energy for the gene keys, that axis goes to 38. So it's this axis of the myth and the warrior, and how are we living our legend, right? And how are we allowing, and it's so interesting because myth came up for my full moon reading of Capricorn last month, right? So how is that becoming something that I'm starting to realize, yeah, the low moments are part of this hero's journey and part of my story too. And so, yeah, I was just recently made a beautiful little project, and the link will be in the description. But I actually called it Hera's Journey. I'm like, I think we've had enough hero's journey. Let's call it Hera's Journey, which is like my biggest impetus. But it really does kind of have that same arc of when we're living that experience of pattern and cycle, and how do we move into that next level of our greatness and our ultimate legend, right? That's where we want to get to. But in the shadow side here, the fear is that we're going to be trapped, that we're going to lose our ability to be ourselves, be free to be ourselves, be able to act from our own desire and who we be. And so it causes this action that is and is primal. The energy itself is primal, explosive, gutsy even. So that's that element of me, my gutsiness, my courage, my willingness to enter into the fray is what is allowing for this impetus of energy. So in that fear and that shadow, it's just how we continue to use violence as a way of seeking or making people give us freedom that we think that we're not experiencing, either literally or that we feel may be taken away from us, which may not have happened yet, but it's still something that maybe feel really real in that moment, just causing the explosion of violence. And that is always something that's personal, something that is the provocation piece, that shadow of provocation is like, it's not just anybody that you're taking freedom away from. You're purposely saying that people that have my skin color and that have my identified gender and have my um, personality of being a little artistic, a little flaky, but super nerdy. And super nerdy, right? No buts here. It's all awesome in my eyes. And so, yeah, so you're not just like provoking general people, you're provoking who I am, right? And so it becomes something that gets personal. And it's a very personal, when it's personal, you have a bigger explosion, right? That's why, the yo mama at the end of the provocation was always the next level. Oh, what? You're gonna attack my mother? You don't dare. Of course, that's that snap moment, right? Oh, you want me to snap? That's like, I remember growing up and just being in certain neighborhoods, and like it was like you're desiring the provocation that you have now created just by saying the word. And it was like, if you said it, then that was naturally going to be the response. You can't expect anything else, and you're basically asking for it. Then somebody from a different environment would be like, what are you talking about? They just said some words, are they true? Why are you upset, bro? Right? But that's part of this element, is the underlying nature, the energy itself, right? Not just what you said, but you didn't say your mother, you said yo mama, right? Which is a whole nother energy, right? It's like, you might as well just say the F you, right? And so that is going to provoke a very personal response. And a lot of that emotional energy is that piece, right? A lot of emotional energy is how we really enter into that extra dynamism. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then I want to say this quote from the book. The moment you react violently, emotionally or physically, to an emotional provocation, you are engaging with the energy of struggle and effort. And I think this is very much true because we often think that people are taking away our freedom, right? That programming partner, they're taking away our freedom. So we have to respond. We have to be rebellious against the way they think I should do things. Like if you're somebody's trying to teach you how to market and they're telling you to niche and you're like, no, I am not a niche. I am a human being. And I get it. I am so that person. Obviously, I have not niched in the way that is expected by the larger public. But what it does is it tells you, well, actually, if we're pushing against that thing so hard that you're not getting the benefit of the wisdom behind it, then you are maybe causing struggle for yourself that is not necessary. You might have to put more effort in that may have gone a lot more simply if you had just gone ahead and swallowed it, the leash and niched, right? Um, and yeah, and it's true. Like if you have to choose that point. There is a point that is clear to the obvious, to the majority of the public, and will know exactly where to enter into your work. And then there's that other side. I do like to play with the other side because people still have a question when I'm straightforward and to the point. There's still so much of my work is the experience that it will always be a conversation about what does it look like to enter into my work. And I just try to get the access points that people need me the most at. And then I work from there, right? So that's kind of how I do it. So that's a little preview for a content piece. So yeah, so the nature of this is hungry. It's so interesting that he goes there. It's very small section of the book, but he goes to this place where it says that in this aspect of being human, it looks like you may be having the food source. Maybe you ate food, but your body isn't metabolizing all of it, so you have extra weight, or it's not energy ready to be used immediately, right? You slow down. I even heard that this is like, again, this is DNA, this is wiring the brain. It's part of how some people are built, that some people will literally have to slow down after they eat. They get more foggy, they get all resources go to the digestion. So don't really, they can't focus as well. They can't get up more done. So maybe it's not good to eat 3 meals a day for everybody, right? Maybe you need to keep it into an area where it's like, well, while I'm chilling, I'll eat, right? And then when I'm doing, I'll just keep doing. And then maybe when I'm gone back to rest, I'll eat. But like, we have to know what's going to work for us. The programming partner here, again, is that shadow struggle. And what happens whenever we're in shadow is that we can notice immediately, oh, that's that pattern that if somebody does pop off, if there's violence happening, then they're more likely to have a hard life. They're more likely to be put in a prison or something like that, or, have a charge against them. So whether that's somebody just, oh, well, you got mad enough to break my window, so now you got to pay for my window, right? So it's really is an action of violence. So it could be a transference of actual word energy, but it's most likely to be physical. That's just the nature of the energy. Okay. And so that runs that pattern. Like if you're acting violently, then you have immediate consequences that create struggle and require you to work even harder in life, right? So in the gift, the power of this thing is just that raw energy, that raw, physical, active, creative energy. And in the book, Richard Rudd actually calls this the pressure of creativity. And if you think about a child's energy where they're just kind of bouncing off the walls and you're just like, how you haven't stopped for 3 days, except for that time when you slept once. And ever since then, they can't even, most adults can't even fathom having that much energy to do all the things children do, right? But that's what the energy possibility is here. So if you're feeling restricted, if you're feeling trapped in that repressive side, if you're feeling reactive, like you're just gonna punch out in anger, then it is that idea where we have to go back, be going back into the sense of what we love. So it's it's really um, I'm sorry, I'm going back to our podcast for Urban Vision. We had this conversation of what it takes to move into the big leap, right? And in the book, it talks about dissolving, not solving. And every Gene Key operates in this way. This is why Richard McBride advocates contemplation, because you're not going to think your way out of this box, right? It's about reprogramming your attunement. So the power of this actually comes from tuning in to what you love. And so what that does is it gives you the frequency, the vibration of what's better, what's abundant, what's going to look good to you and feel good to you. Once you've tuned into you to that, your attitude is completely different. It's not, oh, I'm gonna have to make this Gene Key video, right? It's, oh, I'm gonna tap into this thing I've never done before. I'm going live, which I haven't done that yet on Gene Keys transits. I'm actually excited about how this is going, how this will go, right? It's a wholly different vibe. And then the city of liberation. So this is where you can't be provoked at all because you're just in the frequency of love. And so you can't even perceive seeing something as a provocation anymore, right? It's just, oh, things are happening. So let's look at Karen Curry Parker's approach to this. What is standing in the way of our abundance? That's the provocation. Okay. And the idea is holding the vision of what you want while being provoked. Okay, so when I put these two together, it's just genius, right? It's just genius because that's what I said in the beginning, right? We're all feeling a little provoked, like this is personal, like they came after me and my bad habits and my challenges in life, and then they just put me on blast in front of everybody, right? So the challenge here is, can we focus on what's happening in these obstacles, in these ideas of being blocked from our abundance, and can we create the vision directly, right? So in other words, can you not get distracted? Can you not get distracted by what appears to be happening and how it was sourced from the past, and still focus on what you're creating in abundance, right? Ultimately, this energy is to shift from the idea that this experience is bad into, this is the reason I'm going to have even more abundance. I know it looks bad right now, but because of what the experience is happening, it's actually going to make me even better. I'm going to be even stronger. I'm going to be even more energized. I'm going to be even more dynamic in my abundance. And so, can we get there from there? How are you in that place? Can you tune in to that abundance frequency, right? Unbalanced expression looks like being overwhelmed by lack and panicking. And then, and that space and that perspective is that shadow of provocation. Are you blaming others and yourself? Are you provoking yourself to be ashamed and be in lack and continue to create that energy? Or are you blaming others and provoking them into thinking they should be ashamed about your lack? Right? So that's the unbalanced expression. And the contemplation that I pulled from Karen Curry Parker here is, have I abdicated my own power to create? It's a good question, right? Have I abdicated my own power to create? And um, and I think we got to sit with that. That's a nice question to contemplate, all right? And if you have noticed the places where you have abdicated your power, well, that's what you'll be receiving in this new moon. So there's one affirmation I wanted you to pull in. I kind of changed it, so it's only about 5 words that come from Karen, but it goes, I use experiences that create desire in me. So when we feel like we're in lack, it creates a desire for abundance, right? I use experiences that create desire in me to tune into the energy of what I'm creating next. So that's how I shifted it. Okay. And so, three things to receive this new moon in Cancer is receive lack as space and potential to create. So if there's nothing there, that means you can create whatever you want. It increases possibility, it increases potential energy. There's a lot of energy freed there, right? To do something new with. And so that's what's so powerful about it. I don't know about you, but I know to have a very specific thing that's happened that looks like it could have been a bad thing, but it actually has freed up so much dynamic energy. And we're tapping into that this new moon, right? Second, receive the higher attunement of what is available. So that's the same place, the same world that's creating this image perception of lack is giving you a higher frequency that we may not see right now if all we see is the lack, right? So can you attune yourself? Can you listen to the higher possibility that can shift your attitude? Can you receive that new possibility, that abundance frequency, right? The third is receive the wisdom of what hasn't worked, right? So, what is life telling you? Like, yeah, that was cute. That's a good idea. But no, that's not how life works. That's not how abundance works. Nope, sorry. I know you thought it did, but it doesn't. Like, you receive that wisdom, right? And are you willing to just let it go and be like, well, I guess I was wrong, and just gracefully move on. Okay. Yay. And now we're getting to our three content ideas. Our three content ideas for these 2 weeks of the new moon in Cancer are: what do you love about what you do? Because this is how we free that energy, y'all. Like, if you're tired of what you're doing, what do you love about it? And this, I'm talking mostly to my entrepreneurs here, because there's a reason why you got into it. But you may have created your own prison out of the fear, right? So that's that repressive side trapped, right? So if you're in that repressive side, you may have built a prison, a business that turned into a job, which you would rather have a job than this one, because at least if you got paid by somebody else, it would be on time, right? So if you are living in that experience, let's go back to where the true energy is. What do you love about it? And let's free some energy to create something new, right? For me, I love being a witness to someone recognizing their vocal power. A lot of people feel like their voices, there's something wrong with their voices. They think that they can't be as powerful with their voice. They can't speak like others and command a stage. They can't sing like others and become a star, right? And it has nothing to do with that. This is all about the dynamism of the energy underneath. And when people recognize, oh, I can actually tap into that, and they feel it and they start using it, woo, I love it. And it's just a whole new energy comes into the room. And I love holding space for people to reconnect to themselves, which is what that takes in order to find that vocal power and have your own experience of it, is to connect to yourself. And so I help people do that. I hold space for that. And I give them a little instruction too. Like, how does that go? How does that feel like? And I give them steps so they can get there, right? So number two, so how do you do that? Why do you love what you do, right? Why do you love what you do? And how do people trap themselves when they don't have to? What do you know about that? What do you know in your business? Like, the people are dealing and living the life that they don't have to live. And if they just knew what you knew, if they just took certain steps to get a different result, that they may have exactly what they wish they had, right? um, that they don't have to trap themselves in a world in which they don't have the thing that's their heart's desire, right? For me, is that a lot of people think when they come to me that they aren't meant to have a big voice. They aren't meant to be on a big stage, that they're not meant for the world. And if you have a desire for that, if you have a desire, then you are. You are. It's available. And it may look different. It may not be a Madonna esque, taking over the world. but it will be your version and it'll be impactful. And I am a proponent and supporter of that. So, how do you help people know that they aren't trapped where they are and they can have a different life, right? All right. And number three, what do you help people create in their lives? So, this one is about like just like we all are creative. This is that energy. The energy is creative. It's the ultimate raw creative source energy. You know, there's another concept that comes up. I'm sorry, detour. There's another concept that comes up in the chapter for Gene Keys, and it is, I think it's the name of the chapter, which is the tension of transformation. Let me make sure I got that right. The tension of transcendence. Yeah. So something about, yeah, this is the clue here. This is what I discovered in my silent retreat that I went on. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how did I miss this? Literally, my work is meant to sit people in this energy. That is literally what I do on a practically daily basis. So the fact that I missed this is just huge to me, that I wasn't seeing how I was leaving a gap so that I didn't have to feel the tension, right? So here is this whew, miraculous little evidence of, yeah, you think dynamism is just going to be all rainbows and giggles, but it may be tense. It may be a little tense. It may be a little comfortable. Why? Because what you desire is usually something that you haven't fully experienced yet. Like maybe you've experienced parts, maybe you experienced it through watching somebody else experience, and they're like, ooh, I think I want to have that experience. But you may not have experienced it fully yet. And so that when that energetic dynamic, that magnetism that brings it in, that gives us that attraction code, right? That may feel like tension in your body. What's the difference between like a tension that traps, right, in that shadow, and the tension that releases the abundance? Are we sitting with it? Are we letting our energy move? Are we letting it inform us? Are we letting it build us into a higher understanding? Are we tuning into the highest possibility of that energy? Or are we just recognizing that it's not here yet? Right? So we might as well just go ahead and not think about it anymore. Right? So are you willing to live in that tension until what we're attracting shows up? Is a good question to ask ourselves in this now moment. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. We were on the third question, the third content idea, which is to create content that would help people about what, I'm sorry, to create content about how you help people create in their lives. So, yeah, so for me, I help people create a greater sense of trust in themselves. And so that looks like confidence. And I help people have free that energy, create that space to be more dedicated to their vision. And so there's more energy for that vision. They're doing more about it and more is happening along that vision. And so, what does that look like for you? How do you help people create in their lives? So, do you help them get those, get their minds around some numbers so that they can make a clear vision, a plan for that vision, right? Are you somebody that helps them to understand that, this is one step, this is another step, but actually it's not, this doesn't have to be hard. We just got to do step by step by step, and I'm going to hold your hand until we get there, right? How do you help them create it? So, yay. I think we're done for the day. And thank you for joining me on my live YouTube Gene Key Transit. And I will see you on the full moon.